Hello everybody, welcome back to another video with Lim Reviews. Now today I'm super excited to be presenting you two brand new phones by Xiaomi. I know I've been doing tons of tablet videos the past few days now, but I'm super excited to be back to sharing smartphone news. Alright, so today I have here two very interesting devices. They are the Mi 11T series. So on one hand I have the Mi 11T as well as the Mi 11T Pro. Now obviously I only have this box right here, but I do have both devices. They're sitting right here. This is the Mi 11T and this is the Mi 11T Pro. Now before I begin, I think you should already know that the Mi 11T series is more like Xiaomi's more affordable line to the Mi 11. So the Mi 11 is like the bigger brother, and these two guys here, the Mi 11T series, they will provide you with still a lot of great specs but at a more affordable price point. So we're going to talk all about that, all the differences that you might need to know between both this 11T and 11T Pro, so that by the end of this video, you should know which device you should buy if you are looking to buy either one of these guys. Now, before I begin this video, it would be awesome if you could just give the channel a like, sub to the channel if you like seeing content like this, and yeah, let's begin right away. Alright, so first up, let's talk about the devices here. Let's talk about the price. Now, the Mi 11T and the 11T Pro are actually very similar in terms of pricing. Obviously, this was just launched by the global launch, so we don't have the pricing here in Malaysia yet. But based on the pricing from the previous Mi 10T, I can expect the 11T to be like RM1699 or approximately $410 US, whereas the 11T Pro here will be slightly more expensive at about 1,999 ringgit, which is approximately $480 US. Now bear in mind, this is just based on the pricing for last year's model, so this year it might be a little bit different, but stay tuned to your local distributors because they will actually announce the actual price. Now let's move on to the next point very quickly and talk a little bit about design. Now, if you look closely on the screen here, you might notice that both devices look very identical, and yes, your eyes are not playing tricks with you, they do look one-to-one alike. In fact, I keep messing up which is the 11T and which is the Pro. You really can't differentiate it using your own bare eyes. So just in terms of design, both looks the same here. We do have Xiaomi's typical kind of design here. Is a very reflective back panel. This is the black version, and of course, if you take a look at the camera cutout on the top left corner, it is the kind of design that is representing Xiaomi's image right here. So very standard in terms of the design. One thing I do need to point out though is that in terms of the thickness levels, it's not the slimmest device out here. Now another thing that you should take note of here very quickly is the weight of these devices here. Both devices weigh around 200 to 204 grams, so it's definitely not to say very lightweight, but it's not too heavy at the same time. Overall, in terms of design, you will not find any headphone jack over here, but what you will get is stereo speakers. So that's that. Now that's just in terms of design. Let's talk very quickly about the displays of these devices right here. Now, in terms of the display, both devices here are actually very similar. They both have the same display, and that means this is a 6.67-inch 1080p Super AMOLED display that actually shows some really good colors and great contrast levels. But what you really need to know here is that both devices here come with a 120Hz refresh rate and a 480Hz touch sampling rate. So they're very sensitive, they're very smooth, and obviously I know the previous year one of them come with a 144Hz display, so you can think of it as a slight downgrade, but you won't really find the difference between 120 and 144 unless you have both side by side. Now apart from that, what you also need to know here with these devices is that the displays go all the way up to 1000 nits in terms of brightness. So if you're using your device outdoors most of the time, you will not have any troubles seeing the display. Last but not least, also protecting these displays are the Corning Gorilla Glass Victus. So rest assured, you do not have to worry about these getting scratched or cracked easily. Alright guys, so now done with the displays, let's talk very quickly about the processor and what's powering these devices here. Now for the Mi 11T right here, this is actually being powered by a Dimensity 1200 processor, whereas on the 11T Pro, you get the Snapdragon 888. Now bear in mind here that both processors are actually very powerful. For the Dimensity 1200, no need to feel that you are being shortchanged here because the Dimensity 1200 is actually a pretty good processor. What this means is that you're still getting flagship kind of performance, just that you won't feel a lot of heat in the device. Whereas for the Snapdragon 888, obviously yes, you are getting a flagship kind of processor here, which is similar to the Mi 11, but you do get a lot of heat on this device. So in terms of power, both devices here are giving you very strong power for the money, but you just need to know that obviously with the Snapdragon 888, things are going to get pretty hot, And yes, I did try it out with my Genshin Impact and the temperatures really flew. It was about like 48 degrees Celsius, so it was really hot. Just bear that in mind. Pretty standard stuff coming from the Snapdragon 888. Now let's move on very quickly to the RAM. In terms of RAM, the 11T itself goes all the way up to 8GB, whereas the 11T Pro goes all the way up to 12GB of RAM. And in terms of internal memory, both devices go all the way up to 256GB of UFS 3.1 storage. Now, on that note of memory, I did check out the SIM card slot, and it's the typical dual SIM card, so you cannot put any like micro SD memory card into the phones to expand your memory. So that's that. Now, done with the performance, let me just show you a very quick benchmark scores between both devices right here, the 11T and the 11T Pro. But based on what I've been seeing right here, obviously these devices can handle most games at the highest graphics that you throw at it. Everything that you do on a daily, social media, Facebook, everything will be very smooth. No issues with app launch speeds. Everything will be buttery smooth on both devices right here. Alright, now let's move on to the next point and let's talk a little bit about the cameras that we have on the 11T and 11T Pro. Now, bear in mind, again, they are using the same set of sensors here. So what this means is we have a 108 megapixel main sensor, we have an 8 megapixel ultra wide, and last but not least, a 5 megapixel macro lens, which I am not sure if many of you will use it. I did hope it came with a telephoto, but macro lens is what we get. Now, in terms of what's different here, the only difference that I can spot at the moment is that the 11T Pro actually comes with support for 8K video recording at 30 FPS. So if you're the kind of person who wants to take 8K videos, well, the 11T Pro will help you out with that. Now, in terms of the camera photos, here are a few samples for you to check out side by side. Now, although both the 11T and 11T Pro uses a similar sensor, I noticed that color reproduction and details are very different on both. So generally, the 11T produces images that are less saturated and more true to life, whereas the 11T Pro produces images that are more saturated to make it really stand out. In terms of details, the 11T Pro retains much more detail when zoomed in to take a closer look, and thus, if I had a choice, I'd actually go with the camera on the 11T Pro. Alright, so last but not least, let's talk about the batteries in these guys right here. Now, once again, they're very similar because both devices here come with 5000 mAh batteries, but the main difference here is that the 11T supports only 67 watt fast charge, whereas the 11T Pro supports 120 watts fast charge. In fact, it did come with the 120 watt charger in the box, which is huge by the way, quite hefty as well. So this thing here apparently will charge the Mi 11T Pro from 0 to 100% in just 17 minutes, guys. That's crazy. 17 minutes from 0 to 100. And for the 11T, the standard version, the 67 watt charger will do it from 0 to 100 in about 36-37 minutes. So a little bit longer, but honestly speaking, both are fast charge. Alright guys, before I end, one final touch that I did realize on both devices here is that they also come with good haptic engines. The vibration motors feels great. I'm not sure if it's the X-axis or the Z-axis kind of a haptics engine because it was not mentioned, but it definitely feels very good here on both devices. So you can expect to have some pretty good haptic feedback on both the 11T and the 11T Pro. Alright guys, I think that's pretty much what I have to cover in today's side-by-side comparison between the 11T and the 11T Pro. Definitely, I'll be testing these devices out more, and let me know what you guys want to know about these devices here. Are there any more questions you'd like to know about this? Let me know down in the comment section below. Again, if you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and I hope to see all of you guys in the next one. Bye!